are succumbing to these things, but that's something that's where you have to think about, like, okay, as somebody trying to put something else in to give me a better high or higher high, I want to make sure that people have that opportunity to, again, have that experience in a safe space.
Yeah, and also what's the trade-off for the products that you're using? So what would be your advice for someone who suffers from chronic pain and they would like to partake in the benefits of marijuana?
Well, before you take the benefits of marijuana, learn what's going to be beneficial and harmful to you per se. So if you want to partake in the benefits of marijuana and you see, okay, well, smoking may be too harmful for my lungs to partake in that, but you want to take in the benefits, okay? Learn about what are the other methods that you can take that or ingest that cannabis. There's eating, there's concentrates from distillates, isolates, wax. Concentrate is where you separate the different essential oils, so the cannabinoids from the plant, and slowly just have that either group of chemicals, so it could be full spectrum where it has a little bit of everything, or it can be an isolate where it has just one. So a CBD isolate, for example, it's just CBD. THC isolate, it's just THC. It's no longer in the natural plant form at that point, though. So there's that trade-off.
Okay. When it comes to your research that you've done within the last couple of years of culinary, applying it to the food and the experience, what have you come across when it comes to the business?
The biggest thing I've come across, people do not care about how you're taking these products. They do not care how it's mixed in. They do not care the flavor, as long as it's getting you to the point that they're advertising. And
so
you're paying for it.
Makers.
Other makers, and just
they're not measuring it like they're supposed to.
Beyond measuring, they're not using proper techniques. Like, one of the popular techniques to infusing in this area, I would say, instead of actually making a product from ground up and actually knowing the science behind it, they'll take a already made product, say candy, and then they'll spray a concentrate on that candy and then resell it. That's great. Anybody can do that. You don't need any special person to spray something on your candy and then enjoy it. That's not hard. I'm taking it that step further, and actually learning what are the different ways that this one product, cannabis, interacts with different products. How do I get it into a beverage? How do I get it into ice cream? How do I get it into something that's just not even thought of? Savory things. Why does it always have to be a sweet treat? What if I wanted to have this as a part of my dinner, since it's something that I have in my routine and regimen for the different elements or for what I choose to do in my life? Why should I be limited to just mixing or putting it on top? Sometimes I don't want to taste it, or sometimes I don't want to recognize that that's what I'm having. And that's some people's thing. Some people may not be able to deal with those different things. So now you have a way to not only learn and see what's going on, because again, with that experience, you're probably seeing me either make a product or put together a product that now you're seeing what goes into it. You have a better understanding of how does it work. You don't have to just guess it. You can see for yourself, know for yourself. And also that adds to back to the culinary aspect. That's putting that love, care, and just goodness into what you make. So you can definitely tell a difference from just having a edible that's just a plain old brownie that somebody took a box mix, threw weed in there and said, here you go, or versus somebody who actually broke down the different aspects of that plant and infused it into a dessert or infused it into a meal. And not only is it still good, but it's not overpowering or conflicting flavors. That's a skill, that's an art.
How do you go about these practices? Not the technique itself, but building the rooms for people to know that, like, hey, we're testing this out for the customer safety.
Well, first, again, research. R&D is really the biggest part of this business.
What's R&D?
That research and development. You don't just have something and release it out there. Know what you're doing. Know what you have. For some of my products, I do send it out to a lab to have them tested to see, again, what is in it. Knowing the base products that you're putting in it, you don't want to use something that is a mix or an array of different things when you're trying to make something that, say, it's only one thing. For example, I use a vanilla bean. Instead of just getting vanilla extract that can be many different chemicals, I just put actual vanilla bean in it.
Yeah.
It's just vanilla bean. Knowing, again, how to even make things bind together, what sticks together, just like many things. Again, cannabis doesn't go with everything. It's not going to bond with everything. It's not going to blend with everything. But I want to be able to put it in anything.
Yeah, safely.
Safely, of course. Measuring and even knowing that is an equation at that point. And it's still, you have to know what you start with before you can even figure out what your end product is going to be. Knowing different temperatures, knowing different things that affect the plant, knowing different things that are going to affect your end product. Knowing when you're doing something that may change the properties. As again, it takes a lot of research and development, some of which is trial and error. So any product that I know I do make beyond myself testing it, it is going through that testing pool where we're having those individuals try. And then the big thing, if you still are even worried about, okay, how much it should take, that's what that experience is also giving you, that opportunity to not only see how it's being made, but here's that sample. If you have that knowledge, understanding of what's being ingested, if you have that comfortability around it, now you can try that sample and see what the hell is going on here. Give you the best insight and knowledge that I have and that research behind it. But I, of course, challenge anybody to look up anything that I'm speaking of. Don't just take my word for it.
Always do your own research.
Exactly. And I promise you it'll pay off every time.
Can you give us good examples of resources folks can look up themselves on the internet if they wanted to educate themselves?
If you wanted to educate, well, I would say, which facet would you want to go through? So if you want to look up some of those studies from universities, just go on Google Scholars, not just regular Google Scholars. You can search UCLA study on cannabis or research on cannabis. You can study or look up Harvard's research on cannabis and see what some of these universities and things are saying. See some of the editorials and papers that are posted out there about the subject. Look up the history of it. You can start, all honesty, binge YouTube. It sounds wild, but it's many things that you can learn on YouTube. But learning the history of a product and a high level summary, that's where you can start. Then you can then dive into different sites. Like Leafly is a site that it gives you a lot of background and information about different strains and different products specifically. To again, the biggest research that I got is I actually talked to those individuals who are in the business already. Pass that knowledge and resource on. Different books you can read, different just guides and papers, editorials, forums. Learn what is going on with these products. The resources are now becoming so openly available. You have different magazines, from Time magazine to High Times. That's one of the oldest weed related or cannabis related magazine editorials that are out, and they actually do give you those that background and research on what is cannabis, what is it doing. It's not just the entertainment of you can get some background on it. Beyond schools and universities, talk to local dispensaries. Talk to those people who are actually in that realm. NORML, NORML, that's another group that pushed that initiative around that compliance and passing the bill to make it not recreational, decriminalized in DC. They still give a lot of information on how can you dive in this realm, how can you work in this realm, what's going on in this world. They have even legal advice on that site too, so if you ever get into trouble with dealing with these things, that's where you can reach out to. But it's definitely again, just search. You gotta kind of binge that knowledge, look up things. Just don't just listen to the propaganda from different media like newspapers and news outlets. They'll say, oh yeah, this is bad. Well, why is it bad? Ask those questions and I promise you'll come to a better understanding.